Welcome back to the deep dive. It is Monday, July 6th, 2026, and today, well, we're heading out of the city and basically deep into the mud.
Oh, yeah. Way out into the mud.
I really want you to imagine a scenario for a second. You're holding this, specialized transport box, and it's filled with premium, live mud crabs worth hundreds of dollars.
Right. Highly perishable.
Exactly. You spent months cultivating them perfectly. But you're standing on a muddy, deeply rutted, unpaved road, like 50 miles from the nearest city.
Which is a nightmare.
Right. And you have exactly 4 hours to get these incredibly delicate animals into a five-star kitchen before they die and basically become worthless. So welcome to the classic first-mile logistics nightmare.
It really is, sort of the ultimate bottleneck. I mean, the highest yield agriculture in the world is completely meaningless if the harvest can't survive the journey to the market.
Yeah, it just rots on the farm.
Exactly. Historically, getting out of the rural backwoods and crossing that first mile is where the entire agricultural supply chain just breaks down. The terrain is brutal, the infrastructure is lacking, and, well, the clock is always ticking.
So today our mission is to explore how a modern agritech franchise network over in Malaysia, they're called Ecoladang.
Yeah. And we're looking at an official document from them today. They operate under MyDataSys SDN BHD, and we are unpacking their Pillar 6.
Right, which they call logistics and supply chain dash frictionless. And I gotta say, frictionless is an incredibly bold claim when you're dealing with, monsoon mud and dirt farm tracks.
Oh, it's a massive claim. But they're approaching this by blending rural gig economy dynamics with edge computing AI and even blockchain settlement.
Which sounds crazy for a farm.
It does. But before we get into the tech, we kind of have to look at the physical contradiction of their whole business model. The Ecoladang ecosystem generates wildly different physical outputs simultaneously.
Yeah, it's not a standardized factory pumping out uniform cardboard boxes, right?
Not at all.
On one end of the spectrum, you have the delicate cargo, like live seafood, fragile mushroom mycelium, gourmet shiitakes, things that basically bruise or die if you just look at them wrong.
Right, highly sensitive stuff.
But then on the other end of the spectrum, these farms are generating massive, incredibly heavy loads of raw biomass. Like, we are talking about whole oil palm trunks and literal tons of energy-dense biochar.
And you just cannot use the same supply chain to move a live crab and a 2-ton oil palm trunk.
Yeah, obviously.
It's physically impossible. So that contradiction requires two entirely distinct transport frameworks running in parallel. You need this decentralized, agile delivery network for the high-value perishables and a centralized, heavy industrial shipping operation for the bulk biomass.
Okay, so let's start with the Agile network, because their approach to this basically flips the traditional delivery model completely on its head.
Yeah, it really does.
They call it the Eco-Runner Network. It's designed to support the independent franchise owners and their managed operational farmers, or MOPs, who are often working in highly remote, inaccessible areas.
And think about what this means for someone actually living in one of those communities, right?
Yeah.
The Eco-Runner Network operates through an app called the Urus Operasi Pintar.
Or just the UOP app.
Right, the UOP app.
Wow.
So when a farmer harvests a high-value batch of produce, they go to their UOP terminal and they schedule a pickup. That job is instantly broadcast to a localized digital job board.
So to put this in perspective for you listening, it's basically a localized rural version of Grab or Uber Eats, but operating entirely in reverse.
Exactly in reverse.
Right, because instead of a restaurant in a busy paved city handing a hot meal to a driver to drop off at an apartment, a farmer deep in the jungle is handing raw, high-value harvests to a driver.
And then that driver has to navigate out of the dirt tracks to take it to a central agropark hub.
The reversal is wild.
It is key, especially when you consider the vehicles. I mean, corporate delivery vans simply cannot navigate deep rural agricultural zones. They get stuck in 5 minutes.
Oh, for sure.
So the independent drivers on the Eco-Runner network use flexible vehicle tiers based on whatever they happen to own. A driver can register a personal car, a utility van, or a heavy flatbed truck.
But the most crucial vehicle in this tier system is actually the motorcycle, right?
100%. Because if you're trying to move a 5-kilo box of fresh mushrooms rapidly down a track that is barely wide enough for a person, a motorcycle is the only thing making that trip without getting stuck in a ditch.
Right. And I really want you to consider the economic empowerment here. We constantly talk about the gig economy as an urban phenomenon, moving people or takeout through cities.
Yeah, that's the standard model.
But with this framework, Anyone in a rural community who owns a basic motorbike suddenly becomes a paid, vital node in a high-tech agricultural supply chain. You don't need the capital to own a farm to profit from it.
You just need to be the critical link that gets the product out of the mud.
Exactly. But, okay, I see the economic upside for the community, but I definitely have to push back here.
Go for it.
In any gig economy system, whether it's delivering groceries or laptops, product leakage, fraud, or just accidental damage, is a massive risk.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge problem.
So if I'm the farmer and I'm shipping those premium mud crabs we talked about, how on earth do I trust a random local driver on a motorbike to get them there safely? I mean, they could take the scenic route, stop for lunch, or just leave my cargo baking in the sun.
And that is the exact vulnerability that typically destroys peer-to-peer logistics. It's exactly what their technology layer is built to eliminate. This is where they bring in the SAIN.
Okay, SAIN, which stands for Sovereign Agro-Intelligence Node. Let's break that down. What is a SAIN actually doing on a dirt farm?
Right, so the SAIN is a hardened on-site mini AI data center.
Just sitting there on the farm.
Just sitting right there at the rural facility, processing data locally, rather than relying on some distant cloud server. And first off, only vetted background check drivers are allowed access to the UOP job board.
Okay, so it's not just anyone.
Right. But once a driver accepts a run, the SA is watching. It tracks the driver's location, their speed, and the physical transit conditions in real time via GPS.
So the farmer basically has total visibility. The driver can't just deviate from the route or idle in the heat without the system flagging it instantly.
The oversight is relentless.
Yeah.
And it ties directly into how the drivers are actually compensated. The system ensures airtight, automated settlement.
How does that work?
Well, when that cargo finally reaches the regional distribution center, the recipient has to digitally sign for it. And the second that validated acknowledgement hits the network, it triggers an automated payment
Okay.
via the Stellar blockchain directly into the driver's digital wallet.
Whoa, okay, stop right there. The moment I hear the word blockchain, warning bells go off in my head.
I don't blame you.
Right. I immediately think of volatile crypto tokens, hype cycles, and speculative trading. Is this just a buzzword thrown in to make a farm sound like a tech startup?
It is a very fair question.
Yeah.
And honestly, the source document Ecoladang is incredibly strict about defining this boundary. They explicitly state this has nothing to do with public cryptocurrency trading.
Okay, that's a relief.
Yeah, they're not soliciting capital or launching some speculative token. The blockchain architecture here is strictly an internal enterprise utility ledger.
Okay, so just for you listening, nobody is day trading mushroom coins out in the jungle.
No, not at all. They're using the technology for its fundamental, original purpose, which is creating an unhackable, immutable record of an event. It's purely for transparent business-to-business operational accounting.
So a driver delivers the goods, the cryptographic receipt is logged on the ledger, and a smart contract automatically executes the payment.
Exactly. No disputes over whether a box was delivered, and more importantly, for a gig worker, no waiting 30 days for the corporate office to clear a paper invoice.
That makes total sense. So the individual franchise owner pays a standardized competitive rate for that delivery run, and Ecoladang takes a small automated cut to maintain the network.
Right. The local driver gets paid instantly, the farmer gets their goods to market, and the whole system sustains itself.
It's brilliant. But, as you pointed out earlier, a guy on a motorbike is perfect for a box of crabs. He is definitely not moving a 2-ton oil palm trunk.
Definitely not. And that physical limitation requires a completely different approach. Which brings us to the centralized, heavy enterprise logistics.
Right, the big stuff.
Exactly. When it comes to hauling raw biomass, moving heavy machinery, or distributing metric tons of processed organic fertilizer, the decentralized eco-runners have to step back.
Because they just don't have the gear.
Right. So the site foremen and agri-park managers take over. They refer to this as manager-led dynamic transport. To handle these massive loads, they utilize a centralized zero-emission electric fleet.
Which aligns perfectly with the overarching philosophy, right? You can't really operate an ecologically regenerative farm if you're spewing black diesel exhaust over the crops every time you move a log.
Yeah, that would completely defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
And there's a detail in their operational structure here that I found really brilliant because it solves a massive real-world business problem, which is cash flow.
Oh, yeah. Cash flow kills farms.
It does. Unlike the local eco-runner jobs, which are paid out of the individual farmer's pocket, these heavy industrial shipping operations are booked, authorized, and paid directly out of Ecoladang's
Yeah.
centralized corporate accounts.
Wow. The financial relief that provides to a local franchise cannot be overstated.
It's massive.
Just think about it from the perspective of a rural site manager. You're out there trying to run your farm, balance your local books, and suddenly you have to front the cash to move 3 massive flatbeds of heavy biomass to a processing plant.
Right. That freight bill alone could completely wipe out your operating capital for the month.
Exactly, but by pulling that cost up to the corporate level, the local farm isn't suffocated by these massive industrial logistics costs. It just allows them to scale smoothly.
It lets the farmer focus strictly on operational yield
Yeah.
rather than playing the role of a logistics financier.
Yeah.
And actually, this heavy transport network is doing more than just hauling dead weight. The UOP booking engine that manages all these trucks is also actively coordinating human transit across the ecosystem.
I noticed that in the source, they're moving TVET students.
Yes.
For you listening, TVET stands for Technical and Vocational Education and Training. But why is a commercial farm coordinating logistics for vocational students?
Well, because these agri-parks serve as functional educational hubs. The centralized fleet network schedules transit for these students to do hands-on training.
That is so cool.
It is. It also coordinates educational tours, administrative site visits, and government inspector trips. It essentially functions as a fully integrated transit authority, moving both heavy cargo and the people required to oversee the ecosystem.
It's a massive web of movement. But I want to pivot back to the high-value outbound cold chain for a minute.
Sure.
Because getting a box of delicate, fresh mycelium onto a truck is only the first step. Keeping it alive and in perfect condition during a multi-hour transit to, like, an international export hub is a completely different challenge.
Oh, a huge challenge. Ecoladang manages this through what they call PCDS-powered real-time visibility.
Okay, what does that actually look like?
Well, every single transport crate utilized for these perishable, high-value items is heavily instrumented. We are talking about active, continuous temperature and humidity sensors built right into the packaging.
So the way I picture this, it's like a VIP security detail. But instead of guys in suits protecting a politician in a motorcade, the VIP is the exact humidity level of a batch of gourmet mushrooms.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
And the security detail is the Say edge node constantly pinging a satellite to make sure the mushrooms are safe.
That is mechanically exactly what is happening. The sensors inside the crates aren't just logging data to a memory card to be read later when it arrives. They are continuously streaming that data back to the sane,
Real time.
real time. And because these trucks are operating in deep rural areas where traditional 5G or cellular networks simply do not exist, they maintain that telemetry using satellite internet. They specifically integrate Starlink Business to ensure there are 0 dead zones.
That is wild. There are literally satellites in low Earth orbit right now dedicated to ensuring the mud crabs on a dirt road in Malaysia stay at the optimal temperature.
It's true. And if a cooling unit inside a crate experiences even a slight anomaly, say the temperature ticks up by a single degree, the system does not wait for the cargo to arrive ruined.
What does it do?
The driver receives an immediate real-time alert on their UOP app to pull over and address the mechanical failure right then and there, before the cold chain is broken.
Wow. But surviving the physical trip is hard enough. As anyone who works in global logistics or agriculture knows, surviving the bureaucracy is often worse.
Oh, the red tape can be thicker than the jungle mud.
Literally, you can have a perfect premium product survive the journey only to sit at a loading dock and rot because one piece of compliance paper is missing.
And bureaucracy can completely paralyze a supply chain. This is where the deep integration of the UOP app and the SCI really proves its value,
Oh, so.
because the system has tracked every single data point of that product's life cycle. The origin of the seed, the date of the harvest.
Wait, it tracks all of that automatically?
Yeah, everything. The exact temperature during transit, all of it. So it can automatically generate the required regulatory documents on the fly.
It takes all the human error out of the paperwork. We're talking about automatically generating transport permits, food safety logs, and organic certifications.
Exactly.
And it tackles the really heavy bureaucratic lifting, too, like MSPO and EUDR compliance.
Which are massive hurdles for modern exporters today.
Let's break those down for the listener. MSPO is Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil Certification, which basically proves the biomass was sourced ethically. But EUDR is the European Union Deforestation Regulation.
Right.
And for you listening, EUDR is a massive new legislative headache for farmers globally. If you want to sell products into Europe, you have to mathematically and geographically prove often using satellite coordinates, that your farm did not cut down virgin rainforest to grow that crop.
which normally requires expensive third-party auditors and literally weeks of paperwork.
But the Ecoladang system just auto-generates that geographic and operational proof instantly.
Yes, it matches the complex compliance documentation to the specific shipment in real time.
Yeah.
It completely removes the administrative bottlenecks that usually delay domestic or international export.
So it's truly frictionless outbound logistics.
Frictionless.
But here is where the entire operational philosophy takes a massive paradigm shift. Up until now, we have only talked about getting things off the farm, but the framework details a highly complex inbound loop.
Right, the inbound is crucial.
Because we usually think of a farm's output as food, and its waste, like crop residues, dead trunks, manure, as just that, waste.
But in the Ecoladang model, waste is fuel. Remember, these operations, including those power-hungry AI data centers we discussed, run entirely off-grid.
Right.
So to generate that energy, they have to master inbound logistics. They require a constant stream of raw biomass.
So they are actually sending trucks out to collect agricultural waste and oil palm trunks from adjacent independent smallholdings. They're actively optimizing delivery routes to pull other people's agricultural trash into their hubs.
Exactly. And when those inbound trucks arrive at the municipal-scale agroparks, they don't just dump the wood in a pile. They drive onto automated dynamic weighbridges.
Okay.
And this isn't simply about knowing how heavy a truck is for a payload manifest. This is the exact moment where the system connects physical weight directly to wealth.
Because the system links the physical weight of that raw biomass to automated carbon credit allocations. But how does that math actually happen on the fly?
Well, the weighbridge registers the mass. The driver inputs the specific type of biomass, for example, wet palm trunk versus dry crop residue.
Right.
Then the Asane AI instantly calculates the carbon density of that specific material and allocates the corresponding carbon offset credits right into the system. You dump the waste, the scale logs the weight, and the complex environmental math is executed instantly.
That is so efficient. And then comes the actual physical transformation. The UOP app manages this whole internal circular flow, spent mushroom substrates, crop residues, animal manures. None of this is left sitting in a pile generating methane gas.
No, it's seamlessly routed directly into their pyrolysis and gasification plants.
No, pyrolysis is a fascinating process.
It really is.
Let's explain that because it's crucial to how they generate power without polluting. Normally, if you burn wood or agricultural waste, the oxygen in the air mixes with the carbon, and you get huge plumes of carbon dioxide smoke. It's terrible for the environment.
Right, which is exactly what they're trying to avoid. So pyrolysis solves that by utilizing heat in a completely sealed, oxygen-free environment.
Okay, wait, oxygen-free?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because there is no oxygen, the biomass doesn't actually catch fire and turn into smoke. It just thermally decomposes. The carbon is trapped and converted into a stable, solid form called biochar.
That's amazing. And meanwhile, the gases released during that extreme heating process are captured as clean syngas. So the output of this closed loop is clean syngas to spin turbines and generate off-grid electricity alongside biochar and premium activated carbon.
Which they then use to fertilize the next cycle of crops. It is a staggering level of integration.
It really is.
They pull regional waste inward, process it cleanly to power their AI, use the resulting biochar to cultivate high-value mushrooms, and then utilize a satellite-tracked gig worker on a motorbike to deliver those mushrooms to a five-star kitchen.
It's the ultimate expression of a circular economy, made entirely possible by an invisible web of edge computing and logistics. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Pillar 6, let's look at the big picture. Ecoladang is not just an agricultural franchise growing food. They are engineering an entirely localized, frictionless economy from the ground up.
Yeah, they really are.
I mean, you have gig workers on motorcycles tracking the temperature of live mud crabs from space. You have automated blockchain ledgers ensuring local drivers get paid instantly without a bank skimming a fee. You have heavy electric fleets hauling biomass to literally keep the lights on for the AI data centers while simultaneously pulling carbon out of the atmosphere.
And for you listening, whether your background is in tech development, global supply chains, or sustainability, this framework is a highly relevant blueprint.
Definitely.
It proves that by integrating edge computing like the Cyan with harsh physical logistics, businesses can operate highly profitably in remote, historically underutilized areas. It basically destroys the assumption that high-tech efficiency and AI are confined strictly to urban centers with paved roads and fiber optic cables.
Right. It forces us to look at rural infrastructure in a completely new way. And I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. There is a little detail buried in their operational overview about data sovereignty.
Oh, right. This is fascinating.
We discuss how the sane AI manages the farm's logistics, the cold chain, and the carbon math. But it also states that this AI proactively earns revenue by offering sovereign compute services globally.
So the farm's AI acts as a commercial data center for outside international clients.
Exactly. If a rural, off-grid mushroom farm hidden in the jungle is simultaneously functioning as a global AI data center, processing intense compute tasks for the rest of the world using power generated from agricultural waste,
Yeah.
how is that going to blur the lines between traditional agriculture and the tech industry over the next decade? When does a farm stop being just a farm and start being a sovereign server farm that just happens to grow food?
That is an incredible thought.
It is definitely something to chew on, especially the next time you order the gourmet mushrooms. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the world around you, and we will see you next time.